Okay, so here's our second video, continuing where we left off last time. We want to be taking a look at here at how to factor this trinomial. Now the difference here is now instead of just having x's in the equation, we now have x's and y's. But this will still factor into a product of two binomials. And the same concepts still hold. We know that when I multiply this spot times this spot, it should give me x squared. Well, that's easy. That's got to be x and x. But now the two last positions, this spot and this spot, should multiply to give me negative 14y squared. Well, there's only two ways we can get 14. We can get it with 1 times 14 or 2 times 7. Now 1 times 14, I can't take a combination to get that to get 5, but 2 times 7, that'll work. And it turns out to get a positive 5, I need a positive 7, and I need a negative 2. Now there's one thing missing here though, because 7 times negative 2 gives me negative 14, but I had negative 14y squared. So I need to tag on a y on both of these, because now 7y times negative 2y gives me negative 14y squared. Now, we always need to do that little check to make sure that those are in fact the correct ones. So I can check by multiplying the two inners, which gives me 7xy. And if I check by multiplying the two outer ones, I have x times negative 2y is negative 2xy. Negative 2xy. And if I add 7xy and negative 2xy, the combination of that gives me a positive 5xy. So that is the correct trinomial. Now, these are some of the easier ones, the first three examples we looked at. These get a little bit tougher and might require a little bit more guessing and checking if I have actually a number in front of the x squared. So that's where our next example is going. Our next example is going to be example D here, and we're going to do 8x squared plus 22x plus 15. Again, this has got to be product of two binomials. However, what is it that goes in these spots? Well, we need numbers that multiply in these first two positions, the f product. We need something that multiplies to give me 8x squared. Well, more than likely, that's probably going to be 4x and 2x. It may not be, but most of the time it's going to be 4x and 2x instead of 8x and 1x. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. I'm going to try 4x and 2x. Now, we know the last two positions better multiply to give me 15. Well, more than likely that's going to be 3 times 5 and not 1 times 15. Well, the question is, where does that 3 times 5 go? Does the 3 and the 5, does the 3 go here, or does the 3 go here? Well, as you get better at this, you might be able to kind of see in your head how this is going to work out. But let's say that I go ahead this time and pick the incorrect one. I'm going to guess here that this is where the plus 3 goes, and this is where the plus 5 goes. Let's see what happens. This is not correct, but let's see what happens. Okay, we already knew that 4x and 2x gives me 8x squared, and 3 and 5 gives me 15. But if we check the two the middle product and the outer product, then that gives me 6x, and this one gives me 20x. And we know that 20x plus 6x gives me 26x, but I wanted 22x. Uh-oh, that's not the right one. Well, what I'm going to suggest that you do, instead of starting to erase things, because a lot of times students just want to erase all this and start over again, don't erase it. Let's just cross it out, and let's write another one, because if we erase it, you don't know what you've already tried. So I'm going to just draw another one. I'm going to cross out that last one instead of erasing it. I'm going to draw another one. I still want 4x and 2x here, but if it's not 3 and 5 there, then I'm just going to switch. I'm going to put 5 here, and I'm going to put 3 here, and just see how that works out. If I check my product again, the inner product this time gives me 10x, and the inner product this time, or the outer product this time, gives me 12x, and now I know that 10x plus 12x is the 22x that I was looking for. So this is my correct answer for factoring. So not quite as straightforward, but this is that guess and check coming in. You just because it doesn't work the first time, don't be afraid to keep trying. And again, don't cross out answers. Just if at first it doesn't, or don't erase answers. If at first it doesn't work, try something new. Just cross out the old one. Let's take a look at another one of these. Example E. If I take, for example, 2x squared minus 21x plus 40, that should be equal to, well, there's actually only one way to get 2x squared. It's got to be 2x and x. But there's a lot of different ways we can get 40. 40, we could get 2 times 20. We could get 5 times 8. We could get 4 times 10. And it might not be entirely obvious at first which one we want to choose. I'm going to go ahead and try 5 and 8 first. If I try 5 here and 8 here, then when I check my product, this comes out to 5x and this one comes out to 16x. And it looks like I guessed right, because 5x and 16x do give me 21. There's only one problem here though. If I add 5x and 16x, that adds up to positive 21x, and I actually have a negative 21x. And it is true that positive 5 times positive 8 gives me 40. And I hope you're thinking along the same line I am. What that means is, well, if I want these to both be negative, then that means this better be not a positive 5 but a negative 5, and this better not be a positive 8 but a negative 8, because then I do have negative 5x and I do have negative 16x, which together add up to negative 21x, and also negative 5 times negative 8 multiplies to give me positive 40. So my final answer here should be that this is equal to 2x minus 5 times x minus 8. Alright, so that concludes the second video. We will pick back up here on the third video with some more examples.